Hello. Hi, I think we'll wait around just for another few minutes. See who else is joining. And then I can start sharing my screen. And we'll be able to start. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And hopefully you guys can see what's going on. So we have this new system. I just need to double check this is working. That this is working properly. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. The entire screen. You should be able to see it now. Hi everyone, welcome to another session of HubSpot Hacks. What I wanted to discuss today is to go through a few interesting information around. One second, let me just close all those. Okay. I wanted to go through a few things and just show you where you can actually see product updates and touch on a few interesting product updates that we've come through over time in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, with everything going on, we will be able to get back to a normal cadence with HubSpot Hacks. We didn't want to skip over this week, so we're doing it anyway. My suggestion is in order to be able to understand what new features you should look at and what new features HubSpot are coming up with, besides obviously in LinkedIn and following on a daily basis Kyle and the rest of the team. Sometimes obviously everyone's very busy, you don't have time to do that. So my suggestion is to go here into, this is our portal. You go down under where your name is and you go down to product updates. One second, let me close the door. So you go to product updates, and inside product updates, you'll see product updates is really powerful. It shows you what's coming, what's brand new, okay, and when it was updated. So you can see today, October, and so on. And obviously I can search for something and it's based on the different tools. But if I want to understand something around, see if there's anything new around sequences, I can search for sequences and see if they're coming through. If it's something around workflows, then it should pop up. And here you can see, okay, there are 2 things that have come out in October around workflows, undo and rechange changes. And the other thing you can do is, obviously this is really powerful, undo and redo changes in workflow canvas. So I can go and do this, why it matters, how does it work, who gets it, and you can click in and actually see exactly how this works. The second thing that I think that is really powerful, so that will allow you to do that. By the way, I can set contacts, SMS, and WhatsApp subscriptions. That's something I actually want to do to touch on for a second, which is, I think, really helpful when people are using SMS and WhatsApp. You can actually update the subscription status now. So that's, for example, something. So this is the first place to go. This allows you to understand exactly what HubSpot's created, where it is, and this is kind of where I go. The second thing is early access to beta. I think we've talked about this a few times, but it's important to look at this. You can decide that you want to, so again, I'm interested in finding something around workflows to see if there's anything new in beta. Okay, AI assistant for workflow descriptions. So I think that's great. And let me leave the beta for a second. I want to join the beta. This is what it will look like when you want to go in. So I click join the beta. I can do it for the entire account, or in most cases, it might not be open for you specifically, but if it's a public beta, it will open. And then once I click on that, I'll have that in my portal. Now, if I want to go in, and let's take this one as an example, AI assistant for workflow descriptions, I say, okay, first of all, click on read more, and I can go through and actually see how this works, okay? But this is really powerful because what I can do, and I think we can kick off after explaining where I'm getting all these new things, is to go into any workflow that we have. So let's say I've got an SMS test, which is an SMS workflow. I've created the workflow. It's not clear exactly what this workflow does. But if I go into details, I can actually now actually update the details and the description. So you can see missing description added now with HubSpot AI. Okay. So if I clicks on try now, you can see if this pops up already, then there's a good chance you're in beta. Okay. Try it now. SMS test, generate. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Sends out an SMS to a contact with a personalized message and link. Use bulk SMS account to send SMS. And I can add this this is for testing their service. Okay, because it's not something that we're actually using, but I need this testing. And I click on save. And that's great. Now, why is that helpful now? Because when I go in to the workflow and I search for test, I have a description. So my suggestion is you should have a description for every workflow, so you'll be able to go in and you'll actually see what's going on. Okay, so that is one thing that's really powerful. It's out of the box, and it's very simple. So that's one thing that is new, and I think it's worth obviously adding in. We talked about it last week, but I think it's really powerful, and the same thing you can do with the properties. The second thing that I've come across, which I just want to make sure that everyone's feels comfortable with, and it's important using it properly. So if you go into the object for deals, you'll see that you can do customization on the deals, and you can add different things that are really powerful. So once you go into settings and into deals, first of all, what you can do is you can decide how the default deal amount is created. And here you have lots of options as a due date, monthly or manual, monthly recurring, MRR, ARR, and so on. The second thing is, do I want to have deal insights switched on? That's where you switch it on, switch it off. When I'm creating the deal, where do I create this? So what HubSpot's added a few months ago is that if I have different deal stages, I want to show, for this funnel, I also want to show specific fields, but I also want to add some kind of logic. So for example, I can say that if the deal owner is Mark, then I need to add another field that's called contract type, and it's required. So now what happens is that this will pop up. Okay, so if I save this and I'm the deal owner, okay, and then I can add more logic. So I can say which region. So if the region is Israel, for example, then I need to add currency. It's important to have a currency, and I add it. So what will happen here is that when I create a deal, once I put in that information, you'll be able to preview and say, okay, to create a deal, I put in the deal name, select the pipeline and prospecting. And then based on the owner, you'll see if it's Mark, suddenly contract type pops up. So I know that for me, it's retainer and so on and so forth. So this is really powerful, and you can actually create the deals properly and you can customize them with the logic. So that's number one. Number two is if I need to, okay, so that's number two. For every pipeline, I can obviously associate between those. We'll go into that in a second. I think that's less important. But for every pipeline, you have the ability to do three things. One is you have the ability to decide who can see the pipeline, which is also new. I can go in here and I can manage access. So I can say this pipeline, only person can see this pipeline is me, or it's available for a team, or it's available only for Penguin sales and for the customer support because it's their pipeline, and then only they will actually see the pipeline. So that's number one. Number two, I can customize what kind, when I go into the sales pipeline and look at the board, I can decide it's up to 4 fields, okay? So I can only do, let's say, add close date. I think we had close date. Let's say I want to add type. I can do contract type and add that. So I'll have deal name and now contract type. Okay, so I can save that. And then when I go into a deal, that's what I see. The second part of it is the actual board itself, which is if you go into each, you see that you have in the footer, or you can add it to the header, by the way. You have the weighted average. Again, I can only add 2 here, but I can decide that I want the average amount, and those are the customization. The second thing that I can do, which is really powerful, is to customize deal tags. So before I jump into the deal tags, let me take a look just so obviously everyone knows this, the different stages, the ability. Before we get into the tags, the other thing that is really powerful we've been using in the last couple of months is the ability from each deal stage to each deal stage to make sure that there are conditional fields that pop up, and to make sure that the team actually fills in that information. So it could be contact type, currency, expectation, and so on and so forth. So how does it actually work? So if I'm in the sales force pipeline here, okay, just a dummy pipeline I think that we're working with, and I open the deal, you'll see that if I move any deal, so I'm going to go into Salesforce or the Salesforce sales pipeline, okay? So if I create a deal here and just put this as a test deal, $10,000, so on and so forth, make sure that this is in the Salesforce sell deal. Let me put in all the information that is important, or more importantly, required. And we've got quite a lot here that I need. Which reason? And sales. What else do we have here? You can have a different type, new logo. And it wants me to, you see, so this forces me to associate it to a contact. So this is just a test, so I don't want to associate it to anyone else. I'll associate it to myself. And let's associate this to Penguin Strategies. And I create the deal. So the deal's been created now, it's on the board and everything good. I go back to where we were, you see I'm talking about the Salesforce. So I'm customizing this specific pipeline. We have lots of pipelines. And now I'll be able to see. So here I have in edit properties, you can see that I've forced to put in the contract type and the currency and the expected kickoff date. I can add any other fields, next step. So when I get to the qualification stage, it forces me to put that information in. So this is what it looks like. So when I move to the qualification stage, I have these dependent properties. Okay, so these dependent properties say, okay, hang on. I've already put this in when I created the deal. That's great. I created this before. Now, these two are not required, but best practice and the process that we're actually building in the company is that I want this to pop up for us working on these deals. So that say, okay, well, there's a good chance that this will kick on the 1st of December. Next step, reach out to them. Okay, save. So you'll see that now that allowed me to actually move to the qualification. If I hadn't put that data in, it wouldn't allow me to save that. So that's really powerful. That's number one. Number two, again, that's around it. Number two, what I can do is what's called the deal stages, tags. So I can actually go in and you click on manage deal tags and you can add a tag. You can have out of the box tags, which is overdue, urgent, add contacts, for example, stale, but you can also create from scratch. And here you can actually do a specific tag. So let's say this is a RevOps one. How do I know it's RevOps? It will automatically pop up based on a certain color, let's say blue. On all pipelines, let's say specific pipeline, I'm only interested in this one, the Salesforce sale, okay? And what is the filter? How do I know that that's actually going to be RevOps? So if I go into deal properties and the type is contract type is, let's say hourly. So in our case, hourly can only be RevOps. So that's good enough for that to pop up like that. Okay. So now if I go back to my deal itself, you'll see that if I go again to the deal board and I look at all my deals, you'll be able to see here that when I move to this version, RevOps automatically pops up. And you can do whatever you want. You can think about, okay, I need, so that allows you to add more information on the deal level, on the board level here, because I only have space for 4 fields. So I can add up to 10 tags in each pipeline. Okay, so that's also really very powerful. Obviously, I can use different colors, and then that allows me to look at that. The second thing I just want to make everyone aware of, which I think you are, is that you have this, your hide insights or show insights that I showed you that you can control before, and that is on the pipeline itself. The second thing that we can do is also, so if you go back to previous page, so we've covered, as we said, the customization here, the deals, the configuration, what stage properties are important, the deal tags, and then you can also do automation. So this is also really powerful. You can go in and say, whenever I get to the relevant stage, I need to make sure that when I move to closed one, that I actually let the customer success team start onboarding. So I can create a task or send out new RevOps customer to do, okay, and that's immediate. And then I can put in notes. So I can say, for example, I want to put in the deal name, we'll put in the company name, and the deal name, and the contact person, this is on the deal level, and so on and so forth. And then I can write here, yeah, please reach out to their team and set up a kickoff call, and so on and so forth. So now you'll see this is associated with the records, all associated records, company records, and this will be sent over to the specific owner, and we can put that in high priority and assign this to Roseanne. Okay, it's not her job, but we'll assign it to Roseanne, and then anyone that comes in. So now we have an automation that any deal that gets created that becomes close one in this pipeline will create a task for Roseanne, and you can actually carry on going. So internal email notification if I want, connect to a different app. I can add Slack here if I want. I can add a delay, go to a workflow, webhook, whatever you want. So if you have create a Slack channel, so you can enter, this becomes private or public, and put in the deal token, and so on and so forth. So this is really powerful as well. So this allows you to also automate the ongoing process going forward. Okay, so that's everything around deals that I've been using in the last couple of months, and making sure that's gets set up properly and make sure that you can use all that. The second thing, which this is everything I'm showing you now, is relevant for the contact in the company, is around customization. Okay, so what happens here at the moment is, one second. What happens here in the moment is the following. You can customize now all of the objects, including the custom objects, in 3 different places. This is relevantly, but it's really important to look at. The one is obviously the sidebar, and you can have a different view for, be careful about the abouts. This says that whatever you add here will be seen across the board, but I can actually add sections, add a new section. It's a deal info, okay? And then I pull in the relevant info that is important for me just around the deal. Okay, if I go into deal info, amount, close date, close reason, whatever I want. And then I can save that. Now you can see that this is the default. If I want to create a custom one for a view for a certain team, then I can assign and say, okay, what I showed you before, this is not the default. This I only want Penguin Sales to see. So when Penguin Sales come in and they look at a deal, they can see different information, okay? Because what do they'll have? They'll have this default information. And then I've added deal information, which is relevant for them as well. Once I sign that, anyone that in Penguin Sales comes in will see that view and not the default view. You'll see the default view itself. I can get rid of this and say, okay, I don't want the default view to have that. I want that just to have the about. And now there's a difference between the different views, and you can create those for the different teams. The second thing you can do now is also the exact same thing, is on the right-hand side. Okay, so here, obviously, I can create a version, but I can also go up here and say, okay, what do I actually want to add? Do I want to add specific cards? So this is really powerful now, and it's worth looking into. You can start deciding on the right-hand side, do I need all this information? Am I working with tasks? No. Sorry, tickets? No, so get rid of it. Partners, is partners important? In this case, no. And then you move things up that are relevant, but there is missing information. So associations is important for me. And I want to create a new card. So now we're jumping to something new that allows me with customization to actually go in and create a new card. So how do I do this? What I can do is I can either have association table, association label list, data highlights, and something that I think is really interesting, which we haven't had before, is also property card. So if I add a property card here, okay, and I can choose a property. So I can say, what is the property information? I want the deal status, and I want, I don't know, deal profitability, and I want to see. Now, what I'm doing really doesn't make sense, because actually what I should be doing is I should be pulling information from other resources, okay? So I'm putting that information in there, and then I can call this deal fields or whatever is relevant and save it. Okay, so now I have these properties, and so, okay, I want more properties on the right-hand side. I don't want to scroll to look for them. That's number one. So this I've added into the overview. The second thing is I can update what's in the, what's in activities. And third, okay, upgrade for that. But you can actually, so now if I go into any of these deals now, you'll see that I actually see the information on the right-hand side. And that's the middle. I can do the same thing for the right and for the association cards. So let me just show you what it looks like now. If I go back into one of those deals, because I'm in this specific pipeline, you should be able to see inside the pipeline. If I click on my test, this should be updated now because I changed the default. So I have this information. Now I have properties. You can see I have deal status, deal highlights, recent communication, contacts, companies. I got rid of everything else. And again, if I'd updated this on the right-hand side, I could play around exactly with the same thing and say, okay, do I need all this information, or should I get rid of it? So as I said, I can go back here and deal with that. Okay, so that's the customization. Another thing that allows you to customize, which is new today, we can touch on this for a few minutes, is properties. So inside properties now, there's a conditional logic, which is brand new, and you need to be added in better. But if you go in and once you add it, you'll see that you have properties and you have conditional property logic. Okay, so again, I decide what am I on deals, am I on companies, and here you can see that we've created all kinds of conditional logic that pops up. So when the deal stage equals to create an SOW, contract type and department have to be added. Okay, so you'll see that I can do that on the different deal stages. That's similar to what we're doing, what we talked about. But I can also do that on the contact us. So for example, this is how it works. It's very similar to what we looked before, but this is when any property that I create, I can decide that when you fill out the specific information of the property, another property should pop up and force me to actually fill in information. So for example, we're looking at type. Okay. So let's say the conversion type on the contact, if it equals contact us, I want you to make sure that we have phone number. Okay, so that you go in and you fill out the phone number. And if you don't, then I add another one. So I want you to fill in the phone number, whether it's mobile or phone. Okay, so I can save that. So now if I go into a contact, if I go into any contact and I look at that contact, I should be able to see, let me just search for something here that I can play with. I don't want to break the data. Okay, so now I'm going to update that field, and that field is contact type. Okay, it might be already updated, but let's say that is a field that's important. Again, I don't know what that field should probably be in the view, but if I add that field based on type, conversion type. So watch, I click on contact us. Suddenly the dependent properties like we saw before Okay, great. I don't have to do anything because I need to contact with them. I already see that I have a phone number and a mobile. But if this was blank, it would force me to add that information, or at least it will give me a prompt to add the information. It doesn't actually have to force me. And that's it. So I can apply. Okay. So this HubSpot hacks is going to be a bit shorter because we're just going through different things. But in the next couple of minutes, what I do want to go through is just to show you a few other things that I think is worthwhile taking a look at them. One is the phone number property type. You'll see it in the beta. Okay. Will allow you to put in the different country, and it will validate. It does the validation automatically for you for every country. It knows the validation rules, and it will show you. So this is actually keeps the data clean, and it's really powerful. That's number one. Number two is there's a new campaign details page layout. So what's great about this is that there are custom properties for campaigns. And if anyone that's working with a marketing team or is on the marketing team, what I suggest always doing is to actually look, let me go into Penguin here. This is not the right one. 1 second. Okay. So now I'll go into Penguin and it will continue an account and I will show you where that is. So under properties where we were before, okay. I can go to campaigns now because I've signed up for the beta. Why is this going in circles? All right, let me go back. Okay, so you're going to marketing and you're going to campaigns. Now, when you create a campaign, you have, if I create a brand new campaign, and I'm all for you guys creating campaigns so that you can track all the information. I can create a campaign. I can do it from scratch or from a template. Let's look at a template for a second. So it will ask me what type of template. Is it an abandoned cart? Is it email drip, in-person promotion, internal newsletter, lead generation, loyalty program, nurture, onboarding and welcome, online event promotion? So let's do that one. I can take a preview at it and say, okay, these are the asset types. So what this actually does, by the way, if you use this one, if I click on online event promotion, what it's going to do is it's actually going to ask me, so here I have edit form and I have the information that I want. So I have campaign owner, start date, goal, audience, currency. Now, if I'm missing information, I can always go and update the form and add conditional logic like we showed before. But the other thing that I can do, and this is what we were talking about, which is new. 1 second. Is I can go in here to properties. And once I'm in properties, you'll see now that once you're in properties, you suddenly have another object with properties. So I've got company contact deals and I have marketing campaign properties. So I can add a new property, okay? So I can say, I don't know, I had audience, but let's say industry, because that's something that I need to focus on. And campaign information, select the type, drop down, and I can say, is it a SaaS campaign or is it an internet or is it software, based on the different topics. It's internet and so on. Okay, once I've done that, if I go back to my campaign, let me see where I was, 1 second, and I refresh this. So again, I have templates. So two things. One is to look at the different templates, and three is to see what information. So if I use this template, you'll see now that I should have a new information. I should have segmentation as well that I can choose from. So I can edit a form, add properties, campaign information, sorry, quarter industry. So industry now exists. You can put that up on the top, save. And then if I go back to where I was and refresh, now you'll suddenly see that when I'm using the template or out of the box, I'm asking for industry as well. Okay. So whatever data you need to report on, segment the data based on that, that's where you start using the campaigns. And that's where, so two things. It's one is to add those information. Two, it's really powerful. Instead of starting from scratch, you can say, I want to look at the saved programs and save templates. So one is you can create a template yourself and then save it. So you don't have to start from scratch each time and manage the templates. Two, you can create a brand new template from scratch. Okay. So instead of creating it, so if anyone's worked with Marketo, you'll see that it's very similar, is that I can now say, I need to run a new nurture programs campaign. I don't want to start from scratch. So let's use the template and just create this. Now what's going to happen is you'll see that it will actually create the template with a nurture and tell me what I should be using. So I should be using a form, a landing page, a blog post, an email, social posts, and so on and so forth. So do I need to, and then you just connect the relevant asset and then save it. Once I save that, okay, then you'll see the different assets coming in and I have the campaign. The other thing you can do with the campaign, so you'll see I can add assets. So you can see also the campaigns has changed completely. The look and feel looks much better. It's much more powerful. I can edit campaigns. You'll see I can go to actions, edit goals, edit assets, create a tracking URL from scratch from here. I don't have to go somewhere else, add the comments, compare campaigns, delete. Okay. I've got the details and the assets here on the left-hand side, blog posts, CTAs. So they've changed this completely. It's really, and then I got my performance of the campaign itself, new contacts, so on. So let me go into a current campaign so you can see what it looks like. I think we'll focus on these campaigns, and then once that, I'll let you guys go. So let's look at the HubSpot hacks, how they're doing. So, sorry, not hacks, hacks. So this is the campaign that we're running at the moment. And now you can see, I can actually look at this campaign and see, okay, information, attribution, assets, what tasks, maybe I need someone else to go and do something, to change something. You see we've changed completely to a brand new solution from Katua. And different tasks. I can add a budget, which is always a good idea to actually create the budget, add a budget in the campaign spend, and I can actually see the activity. So obviously this is not tracking at the moment because I haven't switched this on. But if I look at this year, it will show me different users, create object, delete object, update object. So you can actually go and look at the activity of all the users inside your platform. Okay, so this is really powerful now. You'll be able to track everything, and my suggestion is to use this. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I don't know if there are any questions that came through. So this platform is much more receptive and it's great, but still the second or first time that we're using it in HubSpot Hacks. So if there are any questions, you can put them in the chat. and I'll try and answer them. And if not, then I think we can meet in 2 weeks' time. Let me see if there are any. Where's the chat? If there's anything coming through here, I don't see it. No, I don't see anything. If there's any questions coming through. Okay. So again, just to summarize, look at the new features. They pop up a lot. You'll see that it's worth either going to a test account or to a dummy account or into the sandbox, trying them out, seeing if there's a good fit. How can I update and improve the process for the team that I'm working with, and use these new features? For example, I think the campaign is something that we're going to start using much more, especially if they are repetitive campaigns that once a week or once a year, or once a quarter you're doing the same thing, or every month you're starting a new campaign. Then you just clone the campaign and it will build everything out for you from scratch, and then you go in and update the data. So we'll create all the assets if you clone those campaigns, by the way, or use a template. So it's very powerful now to use templates, and that saves a lot of time. And it also makes sure that it's standardized so that everyone works within the agreed standardized naming convention. These are the assets that we're using, and then you can customize that and so on and so forth. Okay, so I wish everyone a good week, and we will be seeing you guys in 2 weeks' time. Just remember to go to our website. You'll see that the page has changed. So if you go to HubSpotHacks, obviously if you're here, you got there. You can see now Watch on Demand. You'll see all of our hacks. This is our updated new version that we have. Load more. You can actually go in and watch. If you want to watch, you need to register or enter the site if you're in it, and then you can watch what Reese and I talked about quite a long time ago. And the upcoming events, I think we're going to update that. You can share more info, and you'll be able to do this and see what's coming in through. Okay, thank you very much, and have a great week. Bye-bye.